This is the Dungeon Master's Handbook. Hello everyone, it's Michael, also known as Chicago Is. Hope you are having a happy and good spring. So 2 years later, after the pandemic, where am I at with my poor suffering campaign? You know, the campaign Chronicles of Etinerra has definitely had its ups and downs, and we are starting to come back to life a little bit. I've seen some changes in my life. I think we all have with the pandemic. I know for me, it's been trying to take care of my family, a little bit of pulling inwards, and a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of rearranging of priorities, I guess. And now that the pandemic has subsided into something at least a little less of a daily struggle, I'm finding I'm making more time for D&D and for creativity, and so now I'm restarting this poor suffering campaign. So this D&D campaign of mine, which for those of you who might be new listening to this podcast, it's an old school first edition AD&D campaign, going back to what I know and love and started out with. It started in 2009 with the rise of the quote-unquote OSR thing, where people were rediscovering the way of playing Dungeons and Dragons as it was in the 70s and early 80s, as opposed to the way it was being played with, we'll call it late 3rd edition era and the 4th edition era. And I was just enthused to rediscover D&D, got this campaign going, and like anything else in my life, I just can't do things half-assed. I have to jump into it with both feet as far as I can go. Deep pool? Too shallow. I'm looking for the deep Marianas Trench, so that way I can jump into that. So I did. I was blogging and I was running this campaign, and I jumped into the West Marches style, and I had competing groups running, and I had an online game going, and just on and on and on. It was great for about 2.5 years. And then life hit. I took a pause, about a 2-year pause, and then about end of 2014, beginning 2015, I restarted the campaign. And life was good. And for the next 4 years, I had 3 groups exploring the world of Etinerra. I had a tabletop face-to-face group that was meeting at my house. I had an online group of players who was busy exploring part of my world. And this was all in the same world, mind you. Same campaign. Tried to keep it roughly in the same time era. And then I started a 3rd group, which was an online campaign using Discord and Roll20 and Zoom and what have you to explore another part of my world. And life was good. And I was doing all sorts of things. I had a War Games campaign going, just on and on. Like I said, deep into the pool, Marianas Trench. And then COVID hit. And as I mentioned before in other podcasts, I have some family members that were at great risk to COVID. And the pandemic just forced me into a mindset where my creativity just took a tumble. Didn't want to think about anything other than the day-to-day. Well, 2 years later, I am looking to pick things up where they left off. I did keep the Play by Post group going, and that was one of my online groups. This group of players has stuck with the campaign for a long time. I think a couple of them are damn near at a decade. And that's pretty cool when you think about it. They finally hit a major find. They've been going after this find for, well, crap, since before the pandemic started. And play-by-post games are very slow-paced, or can be very slow-paced. And this one was, especially with sometimes posts coming maybe once every 2 to 3 weeks. Thanks to the pandemic, but we picked it back up. They made a major discovery. Maybe I'll go into that in a future podcast. But anyway, they're doing great. Things are cooking along there. My online game, having some fun there. I did a reversed heist on the PCs last episode, last game session. They had found some great treasure. They had been a little bit indiscriminate about who they were flashing that treasure to. The Thieves Guild heard about it, and the Thieves Guild pulled a heist on them. Thank you, AD&D Illusionist class, for providing me the mechanism. I actually planned this out by thinking like a PC would. And, if an NPC had was doing the same thing, flash around some treasure, wanted to get rid of some things, how would PCs relieve the NPC of that treasure? Thought like a PC, planned it like a PC, executed it like a PC, and it worked. My players are good-natured about it, but apparently some NPCs have made a super special "we're going to get you" revenge list. So we'll see what happens there. And my tabletop group, the Face-to-Face, we're actually going to get together. This first meeting later on in May is going to be a lot about tying up loose ends and seeing where we want to go in the future. When the pandemic hit, the tabletop group had just done something very major in the campaign. They had found a long-lost weapon of power that they needed to go against the super big baddie, and then we stopped playing. So we need to tie up those loose ends. This is going to be it's going to be an unusual session where I'm going to be talking through things with them. More of a shared, I guess, if you will, discussion on what might have happened, where are we going to go, what kinds of things might have you done, that sort of thing. And we'll see what comes out of that. A couple of long-term players I've lost contact with, and they won't be coming back probably. One of my longest players, who's been around since the beginning, moved in the past 2 years. This player helped me to develop my take on paladins, and was just it was so much fun. I could devote an entire episode to Brian and his exploits, but I'm going to miss him. He is, I guess, doing well down in Miami, and I certainly wish him the best, but a little sad. He always made for interesting times at the table. So we'll see what's going to happen. I have no idea. But I'm getting there. This resurgence has forced me to do some things that I probably should have. Number one, getting a little bit more organized. I'm discovering / rediscovering my NPCs. I'm writing down a lot more notes, kind of the, where were things based on what notes I had taken, what things I had written down, and where do we want to go. And so doing a little bit of planning right now. So that's helping me to rediscover. Wargaming, I'm still not there, and much to the chagrin of my friend Jacob, I still still have not been painting miniatures. Right now, my gaming seems to be more of I'm making time to game rather than gaming being a priority. I still have a lot of other priorities going on. As I tease my wife now, I've become the resilient suburbanite. Planting a vegetable garden for the first time in my yard this year. Getting involved in the community a little bit more, getting involved in politics a little bit more, getting involved in a little bit of mutual aid, if you will, trying to get things ready with, be a little more ready if we have power outages or if we have severe weather or whatnot. Things in the Midwest have been relatively okay, but the drought last year kind of opened my eyes to... and the pandemic, of course, kind of opened my eyes to need to think about things a little bit more and take things a little bit more seriously. So, got all that going on, as well as work. I'm still a wage slave and making that dollar. But I'm making time for gaming right now. We'll see what happens. Still not comfortable going to conventions yet. I signed up for GaryCon. And then I canceled everything. Not cut off, but canceled everything with Omicron happening. Didn't know what was going to happen. Needed to make plans in January, and so I stepped aside. Not exactly regret. I wish it hadn't happened. I wish I could have went to GaryCon, but you know what? Taking care of my family and staying alive is important. So. We will see what happens later on in 2022. There's Gamehole Con up at Madison. I might try it out for a day and see what happens. And we got GaryCon in 2023, maybe CincyCon. We'll see. I don't have enough time in the day to jump into the deep end like I was before, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's 10 minutes of rambling on, so I hope you all in Anchor Land and D&D podcasting land are doing well. I do miss hearing from you guys. I hope that things are going well for you all and that you all are gaming as much as you were, if not more, and I hope that the last 2 years has seen you try new things, learn new things, but most importantly, putting asses in chairs, whether it's virtual or face-to-face, and having fun, because at the end of the day, that's all I really want to do. All right, take care. We'll talk to you later, and most importantly, game on.